and innovating and otherwise throwing value at consumers. More content, more applications, more devices, more in all dimensions. And I don't know that we have a lot of disagreement about that. And then in closing, I think I would just say that sort of the kernel of this sort of pro-consumer vision that I laid out has already been sort of enshrined in things like the OECD Internet policymaking principles that Karen Kornblue mentioned grew out of some of the hard work of some of the people here. And I tend to agree with Danny that having clear principles like in the OECD guidelines can be very useful in grounding multi-stakeholder discussions, but exactly how that plays out in specific contexts, I think, is going to require a lot more conversations like this and a lot more research. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Kyle. So, Donna, you've been focused like a laser on domestic policy and strategic alliances. So how do strategic alliances and policy fit together in this conversation?
Yeah. First, let me thank Phil and Silicon Flatirons for inviting me to participate. This is actually my second conference, but first-time participant, so thank you very much for this opportunity. Let me just start off by saying that I think, like others on the panel, that I certainly believe that maintaining and strengthening the multi-stakeholder model, both domestically and in the international context, is critical to ensure continued growth and innovation on the internet. I do focus primarily on the domestic policy issues, so let me turn our attention to that. Domestically, I really think that we can and should leverage the multi-stakeholder model to address even more emerging internet policy issues. This is a timely discussion as the House Energy and Commerce Committee begins examining how best to update the Telecom Act. And so a lot of us are thinking about what does a 21st century policy framework that is pro-consumer and pro-innovation look like? I believe that that framework should rely in part on an approach that includes effective multi-stakeholder processes for decision-making and policy solving, either formally or informally. If used properly, these mechanisms can serve as a vital tool for modern-day policymaking. The issues we're facing now, as others have noted, are more complex than ever. They often don't lend themselves to simple answers. They're multifaceted, they require more nuanced approaches than they did in the past. And to the point of strategic alliances, I think in particular the FCC has done a great job of reaching out to all of the various interested parties that have a concern and interest in ensuring that these policy issues are dealt with properly. So I think given sort of the multifaceted nature of